Welcome everybody out to episode 100, Utah in the Weeds. My name is Tim Pickett. I am the host, and this is a podcast about Utah cannabis culture, the history of cannabis in Utah, and hopefully we'll expand the reach of the podcast to include more people outside of Utah and more stories. We also have patient interviews and industry insiders. Today's episode is a great guest, one of my favorite interviews or discussions that I've had, Big Budah. Here in Utah, those of you who don't know Big Budah, he was a staple on the morning Fox shows when I was working construction. A couple of decades ago, I would wake up and he'd be interviewing somebody out, getting up at 4 a.m. and going out in the community and showcasing different things that were happening here in the state. Has been a real advocate for medical cannabis as well, and we listened to a little bit of his story here today. He also has a Beautiful Mind nonprofit venture that is built to help people who just need a little bit of support. They have a fundraiser coming up, a golf tournament. There's more details on that here in the interview. And it's going to be a really great resource. Utah has one of the higher suicide rates. We have some significant problems with depression. And this will be a resource for people to reach out and get some help. So excited to have him on the podcast. From a housekeeping perspective, there's really nothing to update. We keep helping people reduce the prescriptions that they're taking through Utah Therapeutic Health Center and utahmarijuana.org. You can always subscribe to the podcast on any podcast player that you have access to. We appreciate all of the podcast subscriptions and downloads. You can also find us on YouTube at Discover Marijuana with Tim and Blake there. We have tens and tens of videos, if not 100 videos there on cannabis, how to use cannabis, different products, different condition-specific discussions and education there. Just a real grateful intro here to this podcast on the 100th episode. Enjoy this interview and discussion with Leroy Budateo. I want to talk a little bit about cannabis, of course. You know,
whatever you want to talk
culture.
about, I'm game for whatever you got, brother. I'm here. I'm your huckleberry.
Well, what are you up to?
Right now, just trying to pimp this nonprofit because I have time. Work, I can't really talk about what's coming up.
Oh, really? So stay tuned. Stay subscribed.
I will be working, but I just can't talk about it
Nice.
right now. But no, I just been really trying to use my time instead of being a stalemate, going out and talking about this nonprofit that I started. I haven't really been vocal throughout my career about mental health and how it's affected me, but during the pandemic, my abusive father, all of those things it came to a head because of the pandemic, and it sent me off in a tailspin. I was agitated. I was yelling at my wife and my kids, and I hadn't done that in 15 years, you know, and I was just, it just felt like it was coming off the rails. So I went to my company and I said, hey, I really need a mental break, man. I haven't stopped since the pandemic. I mean, I think I need to take, oh yeah, sure. You know, here's, FMLA, all of that stuff. So I took 3 months off, and I had this bout with I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm still in the end of it. And I don't know if we can say there's a cure or fix or whatever, but here's what I've learned so far, going to therapy and my own self-discovery. My dad was an abusive man. Dad was very heavy-handed. I show this scar all the time. This is a scar that my dad gave me for something he thought that I did, regardless of what it was. That happened to me. And that's typical. That was typical of the punishment that I received for minor infractions, stuff like talking back.
Right.
I mean, it was just like, wait, I just talked back, but I got a life sentence? What? That
Yeah.
don't make no sense.
Get a life sentence for talking back.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there was all these, right. So it didn't, that plus being Mormon and having these high expectations, there's all these things. We don't have enough time to talk about it, but it all came to a head. And so I was like I got to backtrack a little bit. So I was starting to show or exhibit the same behaviors that my father exhibited. So I was being abusive to my kids, the older kids, and my wife yelling, never laid a hand on her. Thank goodness. Whew, knock on wood. But she threatened me with divorce, and we went to counseling. We're still going to counseling. We're getting our fixing. So my younger kids, they have no idea what discipline is. They think discipline is go to your room. My older kids are like, oh man, if we would have done that, Dad would have totally beat our ass for that. And now they're like, no, he's the nicest guy. Oh yeah, he's me. I'm like,
what's the age range of your kids?
Right. I'm like, yes, both of these are true.
Yeah, they're both true. That was the same. Yeah, that's old dad, new dad. That's all like me learning the process, all this stuff.
Yeah.
How old's your oldest?
28.
And how young's your youngest?
He'll be 18 in July.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's graduating next month from Jordan High School. So all of that, and I just didn't know how to figure it out, right? And then
that wasn't like educate. No, nobody taught. Yeah, nobody taught you how to do this, right?
Bro, and I grew up in an era where strangers could discipline me. I don't know.
Oh,
a lot of kids these days don't know that. But back in the day, if we were in the store and I talked back to my mom, it was not unheard of for a woman or a man to turn around and say, "That's right, young man, you better pay attention." That doesn't happen anymore.
No.
But back in the day when I was growing up, anybody could discipline me or put me in check, and that's just the way it was. So my dad, he took that a step further. He would discipline us in public, like he would slap the shit out of us. I'm sorry, I don't even know if I can swear. I apologize.
No, you can't. You got free reign here, man. You got free reign.
I'm not trying to be gratuitous. I'm just saying that's Dad slapped the crap out of us.
Yeah.
And people would turn. That's what you get. Don't you?
Don't you do that again? Do you think that
later it changed, right?
Yeah. Do you think your culture had? Do you think the Samoan culture, that culture had an effect, plus or minus?
That's a great question, because I think the lowest hanging fruit is to just chop it up to culture, right? But here's my personal opinion. It's Christianity, because Polynesians have taken literally what the words in the Bible have meant in order to apply that to their kids. And I'll give you an example. My Tongan cousins, right? When the early missionaries went over to Tonga, we were, we could wear shirtless, we could walk around. But when Christianity got introduced to Tonga, the Methodist Church, and the king converted, he made sure that everybody else followed. So here's what happened when the king converted. He made sure that the men no longer danced without shirts, because it was immoral. It was improper, even though that's culture, right?
Yeah.
And then, so all of that got changed. And even the art of tattoo got stopped because he had converted and believed that tattooing, walking around with no shirt, was immoral, and again, it was bad in the sight of God. So they completely followed everything. So spare the rod, spoil the child. Man, they took that to heart.
Mm-hmm.
They really thought that if they didn't do right by their kids, that they would have done wrong by God. I promise you, ask any Pacific Islander, that's old school. That's how they feel. We're starting to change the way they think because kids are reading books. and the internet's around.
Yeah, the internet's around.
TikTok,
YouTube
right?
Shorts.
So we're starting to change it. But man, I got to tell you, I've had battles with people in my own Pacific Islander culture telling me, bro, suck it up. There's what mental health? What are you talking about? Come on, man. We're tough people. Come on. It can't be that bad.
Yeah.
And so part of me has been, I'm ashamed.
It
Part
just
of me,
it made it worse. Yeah,
yeah.
right. Like that just makes it worse. That doesn't necessarily help.
Like I really wanted to tell people, bro, you know what's eating at me? This thought of I can't handle it anymore.
Yeah.
If I share that, it's almost like I put a mark on my back that don't hang out with that guy.
Huh.
It's almost like in the 60s and I told everybody I'm left-handed.
Yeah.
And now everybody's like, oh, he's a human, he breathes, he's got feelings, but damn, don't hang out with him, he's a left-handy,
Right.
he's a lefty.
That's right. He's a lefty.
Yeah. And so that's the battle that I'm having, is that in my own culture, it's really hard for them to understand and even accept that people are going through mental health or are going through anxiety. So for me, cannabis, right? And I know your podcast about cannabis, it is a lifesaver for me. Pain, I have chronic pain, but also this anxiety that is kind of like the icing on the cake. Before the medical card program came to Utah, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, what? How am I going to cope? So kava, it's a natural tea. It grows wild in the South Pacific. It's a peppermethicin plant, and it doesn't have hallucinogenic properties. It has relaxation properties. So back in the old days, when the old guys would chew the kava, the saliva interacted with the kava and made it a narcotic. Right? It's very strong. If you mix it with the water, it's a sedative. There's something in the saliva that activates the kava that makes it a narcotic. But if you mix it with the water, it's totally safe. It doesn't give you, it's basically a watered down version because you're using water.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was using kava. Once the medical program came to Utah, I was scared. I'm not even going to lie. I was scared thinking they're going to do a background check. Dang it. They're going to tell the members of my church.
Right. Everybody's going to know. Yeah.
What am I going to do? I said, I know it can help me. I've done the research, but I'm scared. I'm scared to take the step. Who was it? Somebody and it was, what's the name of the dispensary? Oh, Wholesome Co.
Yeah.
It just happened to be there. And I'm not promoting them. Whatever. I love everybody, but it was somebody from there. I was sitting somewhere like a Walmart, whatever, came down, sat by, hey, you're Big Budah, whatever. Yeah. You can get a medical marijuana card now. Did you know that? And I was like, nah, man, that's a scam, bro. It's kind of like when they tell you got a free vacation and then they tell you, your child support's up. We got you. You're not going to Hawaii, you're going to jail. So in my mind, that's how I thought. I thought, damn, they're trying to get me.
That's how a lot of people still think.
Yeah.
Right. And that's besides the fact that they think that you're going to have to bring like 14 years of medical records. You're going to have to show you're dying of cancer.
Yeah.
Right. You've got PTSD from being in battle.
Yeah. Show me your scars.
Show me all your scars.
Like
it's
that
not
at all.
Yeah. It's not like that.
It was just like you would imagine a healthcare professional, a doctor. It was a doctor. It's the same thing. They're asking you questions. And I gotta tell you, I'll be 52 this year in June, and I got pain here. I got pain in my knees. I mean, the only way I can sleep, and it's gonna sound like commercial, but seriously, since I've been using cannabis, that's really the only way. Not even kava. The amount of kava I have to drink in order to sleep, I'd have to start mixing at 7, and I usually don't sleep until 1 or 2.
Wow.
And then that's when I can sleep. But if I use the cannabis the way the medical professionals have prescribed for me, bro, I go to sleep. Like, you don't even have to overdo it. I know people are thinking, well, you control it.
No, you don't have to overdo it because I mean, you're trying to turn the mind off a little bit, trying to get a little relaxation, and you shouldn't overdo it, because if you do overdo it, then your mind is spinning.
Well, you just knock out. Lots of snacks that are expired. That's all I'm saying. That's just me.
Yeah. Well, that's
But it's a godsend. I am so grateful that we recognize cannabis as being a plant, because that's what it is.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Secret cannabis hack is you're probably more thirsty than you are hungry. Ice cold,
Don't ruin my
ice
dreams,
cold
buddy.
water, man.
Don't you
Ice cold
even, don't
water.
you dare do that.
Ice cold water. You take ice cold water
That-
when you got the munchies, and you'll be like, oh wow,
Bro.
you just hit the.
Come on, tell me you can say no to a Brucey chocolate cake. Come on.
That's right. Or the what was it the other night? It was a Tim Tams from Australia.
Oh.
The Tim Tams. You ever had those?
Oh, bro, come on, man. Every Polynesian knows what Tim Tam is. Over. It's over. You ever do the Tim Tam slam? Oh, okay. It's something in Australia and New Zealand, because I grew up in that part of the world. Tim Tam slam is you bite a corner of the Tim Tam. On each corner, you put the other end in the milk and you suck. That's Tim Tam slam.
It's on. Okay.
Woo! Promise you, bro. Promise you. You will not go back to enjoying Tim Tams any other way. Tim Tam slam.
You heard it here. I've never tried it. I mean, I didn't grow up with Tim Tams, but they are a good snack when you got the munchies.
They're delightful.
Yeah, they're delightful. So talk to me about this. When did the nonprofit thing come up?
The saying "Have a beautiful day" is something that I've always been saying since the beginning of my career, just to kind of spread the name of the moniker. It was cute, And when I got this, when I started to battle mental health and all that, it just was my mind. So the idea behind Beautiful Mind Foundation is the foundation is trying to help people heal the mind through the heart, caring and stuff like that. So the idea is it's an application. Help is one tap away. We don't want to be a bridge because people are jumping off of bridges. Pardon the pun. Yeah. But we want to be a ladder. We want to be a ladder for people to climb down. So here's the kind of nutshell of what we're working on. It's going to be an Uber, a crisis hotline, kind of like Uber. You press the button, it sends out a signal to licensed counselors and therapists. The fund or the foundation will pay for that. And we want to limit it. We don't want to, we don't want to cripple the health system where the insurance is like, well, if they go through there and it's free, why would they want to come through? No,
yeah.
It's just a Band-Aid. This is just a crisis hotline. So it's not going to be all the time, but it'll be enough where we can gather information and then give it to those professionals so that they can help the individual, not just the person who is suicidal, but the aftermath. People who have committed suicide, they're not dealing with any of this. The people left behind, sometimes they don't know who to talk to. And so that's what we want is just, it doesn't matter. There'll be a friendly voice on the other side to talk to you, to listen to you, to help you. And we want to fund that. And give it kind of like a safety net so that nobody has to worry about paying for it. We will all be paying for it, if that makes any sense. By donating to this, because it's a human problem everywhere. Somebody is sad, somebody's depressed, somebody is at their edge already. So Beautiful Mind Foundation is hoping to do that, partnering with celebrities, building this tech. We already have guys that they're actually building it. The tech right now. So it should be complete in about 3 months. I think it's going to be shorter than that because we've been working on it for a long time. But once it's done, it's actually going to be that. We're adding in a GPS component so that when you press it, it sends out a GPS location to emergency just in case something happens.
Yeah.
And
then it doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, what color your skin is, where you came from. It just connects you to somebody.
Yeah. It's kind of like 911. It's 911. We think it's free. It's being funded somehow. Yeah. Right. Same thing with this. It's going to be funded somehow, but I think it's a necessity. It has to be there. And some people are not comfortable on phone. Maybe they just want to text somebody, hey, I'm having a rough day. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what I'm trying to do that is not out there right now.
What do they say in Mike? I got a daughter in high school and she's on the Hope Squad and the right. It's this, and they try to teach the kids, and I'm often thinking, man, these kids are trying to help each other when really we should involve professionals
and parents and everybody
and parents and everybody, right? But it does take this community approach.
If schools are creating Hope Squads, that means there's a problem. That means there is something going on. They notice it. They notice it enough that they have gathered students. Hey, you know what our job is? Our job is to instill hope. Is to instill, light.
Yeah, it's a
that
good
means
point.
There's a huge problem.
It is a good point. And I think it's interesting. I'm going to bring this back around to the cannabis program, and I don't know if I'm stretching it too far, but essentially, it seems like there's this underlying thing with these programs that you and I are involved in, and that is trying to instill hope, instill connection for people, a way out, like you say, a ladder down, right off the bridge, off the edge, and we found that with the cannabis program is really just listening to people. It isn't that we're not trying to preach the gospel of weed. We're just trying to be there for people who need access. And we end up like you know what I mean? We end up just listening to people, making them happier. And it isn't the cannabis that's doing it. It's the connection. And then of course, helping people understand that it's a plant, right? Like you said.
But here's the thing is that, we've been going off of this demonizing narrative for so long. Nobody really took the time to do research. We are now. Now everybody understands there are some medical benefits. There are some things that can help out. I'm not trying to say either way, but we have enough smart people in our government. I'm sure they can figure out how to make it work. I mean, they made Prozac work. They figured out how to make oxycodone work. Why not figure out how something that naturally grows and naturally helps work?
Yeah, no kidding.
To our benefit. That's all I'm saying.
It's a long time overdue, too.
And I know you guys have probably made this connection already, right? Outside of Rastafarian religion, I've looked. The LDS Church is the only other religion I've seen officially put in their handbook that the use of cannabis, according if you go through the medical,
Rastafarians and Mormons are the only religions. I believe you.
I tried.
I 100% believe you.
I've looked. No, they don't. Nobody comes out openly and says marijuana is okay except for Rastafarian and now Mormons in their handbook, in their official handbook. That's what I'm talking about. Catholics don't have it. Catholics have not changed they still look at it as no, right? They haven't even talked about medical. The Protestants, the Southern Baptists, none of them have officially put it in their handbook. I'm just saying, if the Mormons are changing their perspective, that means something's coming down the pipe.
But you're onto something there. I mean, we got patients who work in the temple, these old guys who got bad neuropathy in their feet and they're taking a little tincture in the morning because it helps them walk around, and they like that better than the Percocet or whatever they were taking before,
It's so funny when I remind people, I say, look, I only did this because the church put it in their official handbook and I have a pass as long as I follow the parameters.
Yeah.
I researched on the web. I cannot find any official Orthodox religion that has allowed their members to partake so long as they follow the rules.
It's awesome. Putting it on a billboard.
Let's go. Let's go, Utah.
Let's go.
All the stuff you talk about Utah, but we got a church that lets us do it. Come on, man. Come on.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, they say we're backwards, but it ain't true.
But I bet you if you were not LDS at some other Christian and you told your spiritual leader that you were, smoking ganja, I bet you might have a problem.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Or anybody because of the way.
Yeah, just because because they just haven't. They haven't got on board.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think the culture in Utah. I like that we seem to be, the people in my circles are they like objectivity. They like to study things, learn things, get to know things, understand the science behind things. And I think that in this case, you've got the Mormon Church being very proactive with that piece of it, right? Mm-hmm. They're like, well, the science supports it, right?
And that's what I love.
People say there's no evidence, but the science supports the safety.
Yeah. I mean, Brigham's tea is way stronger than any cannabis. I'm just saying. If you had Brigham's tea, bro, that's way more stronger than any cannabis. So don't even.
That's funny.
Another topic for another conversation. Sorry.
Right. Yes. So how did you? So are you using? So you're using cannabis now for sleep, right?
Yes. Yes. Went through the program, followed all the rules and regulations, paid my fees, just like everything else following
You
what I'm
got
supposed to do.
you got a favorite product?
I'm still, and since we're being honest, back
Yeah,
when I was growing up, I grew up in Compton. Flower was the only thing available to
yeah,
old school guys like us. And, I grew up around cholos and surfers. There were gangs called cholos and there were gangsters called surfers. I'm not being, that's what they were
right.
called, guys,
Okay,
growing up. And so I learned how to roll, and so flower was my choice, but with the parameters, I have to use vape and some of the other stuff, or take pills. The smell, it's that kind of stuff.
right.
But it's usually only at night, so I can sleep.
What?
Unless I have really bad anxiety or something, or nervous, and then I might take a little hit or something. But
Yeah,
it's at night.
you're you're famous in Utah for not only the stuff you were doing on TV, but your whole weight loss, your whole journey through health.
Yeah.
You're a very iconic, like I know you as this very iconic person that was a TV celebrity in the mornings, and then you went through that whole and really public weight loss surgery and everything. I had a lot of, I still do. I have a lot of respect for you, and I have a lot of respect for people who are willing to show that publicly. Was that something that was was it easy? Was it hard? That was before influencers.
Yeah, before Instagram and all of that. I mean, if Instagram and Twitter had been out when we'd probably be having a different conversation, right? Because it was back in those days. It was an organic journey. I wanted to get it because for health reasons. So the true story, my daughter, Jalen, one day I'm 450. I'm late. I'm sitting right there, and she comes over and is just having this all in her feels moment. Says, "Dad, are you gonna make it to walk me down the aisle?" And I was like,
shit.
oh yeah, gut check. And I'm like, how the hell you want to talk to me like I'm your dad? You want to
Right.
talk to me like that? She goes, no, I'm just, if we're being honest, Dad, are you gonna be around to walk me down the aisle? Tell me now. What are you gonna do? So from then, I just started research. I mean, I've been on every effing diet, man. I've tried everything. So I saw an ad for BMI Utah, researched it, reached out to Dr. Cottom and Dr. Richards, and then they said, hey, this thing is kind of fairly new, but we've dialed it down. We would love to use your story as an example to show people if you've reached your end and there's nowhere else to go, and this is your last ditch effort to lose weight, to save your life. This is the last ditch effort. I said, yeah, let's do it. So went through the insurance, paid the copay, all of that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had the blog, I do all that. But yeah, did all of that. Game changer. I mean, the first week I lost a grip of weight and diabetes went away, cholesterol, all of that. Boom.
Oh
boom,
yeah.
Boom, all went away.
How old were you when you did it?
Man, this was like 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm 52 in June this year. So,
I worked in bariatric surgery, weight loss surgery for 6-7 years, GI surgery. I know Cottom and those guys too. Right. I worked down in West Valley and West Jordan. But my experience with people who've had it when they're younger, like you were too, it does tend to work better.
Yeah.
Right. I would say for me, I am often telling people like, get on with it. Right. Like get it done while you're younger. Yeah. Because now look at you.
It's not a fix all. People assume that once you get the surgery, it's almost like you're cheating. And I tell them, dude, it does help you lose weight, but I'm telling you, you just made your life more difficult. I said, you will lose weight and all that, but now you got to figure out your regimen. You got to figure out what you can eat, what you can't eat, how much you can't eat and drink. You'll never eat and drink unless you break the rules. So, I mean, there's all these things. You're basically regimented. You have now regimented your eating life.
Yeah, you give yourself a jump start, but it's not the work is still there.
So when you talk about being young, bro, I agree with you, because when you're younger, you're going to tend to do more activities and keep moving. Whereas if you're older, you think Oh no, I got the surgery. I'm okay now.
I'm okay, right? I don't need to do anything.
Yeah.
I just don't eat and I'm good.
Well, you're absolutely right. That's a great observation. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, we had a lot of people that were hesitant because they were like, well, I'm not very old. I don't want to do it. And it was the opposite conversation. Like, no, man, just like get it done. Yeah. Even people who are a lot lighter now with lower BMIs, right?
Yeah.
Find quite a bit of success because there's multiple options in those cases.
Yeah.
But does that affect your cannabis tolerance?
No. It doesn't at all because it's coming through your bloodstream. It goes through your
liver and everything.
It affects it if you take edibles. No, it affects it if you take edibles. So for me, I do notice a difference because the size of my stomach. It takes longer. It takes longer for it to hit me. So typically people get 20 to 30 minutes. Usually for me, it's 45 to an hour. So I guess that's right in the same wheelhouse. But that's the only difference. But yeah,
because alcohol is a lot different for you.
Yeah, I haven't not for a while.
Not that you're a drinker, but with people with this surgery, alcohol is
it's so tough.
It's tough.
Yeah,
but it hasn't. That's interesting. That's a question I never asked anybody.
Actually, being a cannabis user, if you have the surgery, it'll limit your intake of munchies because there's only so much you can take before it feels like somebody's stabbing you in the stomach. So that'll stop you.
Yeah. Here's another fact. Cannabis users on average have lower BMIs than the average American. So pot smokers are not heavy people in general, right? No. And I don't know why that is. It's just but that's just the interesting statistic, right?
Well, that's so funny you said that because my wife, dude, yeah, she says you're like skinny all the time. You're thinner than I ever remember you. And you've been this way since you started, using cannabis. And I like,
isn't that interesting? I know more people who've lost weight with cannabis than I have gained weight. Now, I mean, we use it for cancer treatment and even like my sister who is on chemo every other week. She uses it to try to increase her appetite. And specifically for that, it can be used like that, but it's not necessarily going to make you overweight.
Yes.
It might make you more active. Because your knees don't bother you and you're okay going for a walk, taking the dog for a walk.
That's what I'm saying. Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Oh, that's
go
right.
Ahead.
I was just thinking about that. If you have a pain, you're going to stop. But if there's no pain,
you're out doing stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And when somebody asks you to go do something, you're like, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's go.
Because you're not feeling the pain. But if you feel the pain and they ask you, yeah, I'm not. No, I'm good.
No, I'm good. Right? Yeah. So...
Can I ask questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
What are we hearing, if anything, about the cannabis culture in Utah or in the country? Are we leaning towards legalization? I mean,
great.
There's so
question.
many jobs. There's so many things that we could be doing. I mean, industries. I'm just asking because
it seems like it would make sense. It seems
we're looking
like
for a way to solve money problems. Right?
Taxes.
I think Russia found their way, which is war. Remember back in the day that if we had that the country had a financial boom every time there was a war.
Yep.
Right. So Russia's got a financial boom now. Right.
Yeah. Build the war machine, right? And it'll help the U.S. economy to replenish the stocks. I mean, nobody. If you don't believe us, like that's the industrial complex, right?
Yes.
The military industrial complex is an economic driver.
Yes.
Right. It probably got us out of the recession in the late 70s, early 80s when Reagan increased military spending to try to crush the Soviet Union then. But to your question, I don't see an appetite in the national landscape, at least while Biden's in office. I think that, the Senate, I mean, the House passes the MORE Act every year for the past 3 years, right around the beginning of April to try to drum up a little bit of interest. But there's too many old, just the old guard in the Senate. It's just not interested. And when it comes to Utah specifically, I don't think, if you ask Senator Escamilla, who's really involved, she thinks it's going to be 40 years in Utah before they make it adult use, you know. Yeah, she's not.
Come on, man.
40
she's
years. Yeah,
Ugh.
and then when they pass it nationally, they'll just decriminalize it. Likely, what will happen is they'll decriminalize it. They'll make banking easier, interstate commerce maybe a little easier.
Yeah, those
and then
processes.
States will be able to run their own programs probably. And Utah's program, it seems to be about the middle of the road. The conservative side would say, well, yeah, there's a bunch of potheads now, they can use it legally, and we hate the program. And on the other side, the activists are like, well, it's not loose enough. It's still expensive. It's still not serving enough people. And if both sides hate it or have problems with it, then it's probably decent, in my opinion.
Right.
You know?
I see. I understand what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're kind of in the middle. If you want a cannabis card and you have some type of health problem, you probably can qualify based on what I know about the system, right? There's a tax code, this 280E tax thing where like Wholesome and Dragonfly, they can't write off any costs associated with their business except for cost of goods sold. So the federal government's getting a ton of extra taxes even now. I don't know. I don't know. I hope one day we get some type of legitimacy from a medical standpoint first. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I want the medical establishment to incorporate cannabis in the hospitals because I want you to go for surgery, your knee surgery, and I want you to get, a 2.5 milligram patch. And then you take your opioids and your ibuprofen and you mix that in a legitimate way. And I don't think that happens if we go recreational soon.
Huh.
I think Colorado, California, they bypassed legitimizing cannabis as a medicine and just gave it to everybody. And then everybody still thinks, oh, well, everybody's just going out and smoking weed and it's not a medicine.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
But now you got me on my soapbox. I mean, that's why I like the medical program first.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, because people outside, they always think that they're going to show up to a state that allows it. There's going to be all these zombies walking around when, that's the stigma, right? That's the stigma of people just continue to perpetuate the demonizing of marijuana, which again, that's like me saying, hey, we're going to go to Buffalo and we're just going to count how many drunks we can see. That doesn't make, you know what I'm saying? That's not
fair.
doesn't
make, it's not fair. It's not logical.
Yes.
And if you think it through, I mean, there's a lot of people who use cannabis here illegally still.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of people who still use it illegally. There was tens of thousands who did before.
They're not going to stop.
It really didn't change that much except for access to the 50,000 people now is legal. It protects a few jobs. I had a call with a guy yesterday who's in a divorce case, and there's some now he has a leg to stand on with his kids, not losing custody because he uses it legally. But there is a lot of problems in the law. You can't have a concealed weapons permit without lying to the government. You can't buy a gun at Cabela's.
You can't if you got a medical card, you can't get a gun.
So
what the?
I'm not an attorney, but I interviewed JD Lauritsen a few times, and they're on my YouTube channel, Discover Marijuana. And truth be told, like concealed carry and buying a gun, there's an ATF form. You got to lie to the feds to get a gun, because on the ATF form, you've got to say, do you use any illegal substance? Well, that's a federal form. So you gotta say
federally.
If you say yes, I use an illegal substance because marijuana is illegal federally, then you can't buy a gun at Cabela's. But if you lie, see that form needs to change.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of that shit in the law.
Well, because you answered that, does it say illegal federally or does it just say illegally?
It says illegally, but it is a federal form.
It implies. Yeah. See?
It implies it. Right. Whereas if you're a teacher in one of the school districts in Utah, you're actually protected under the law to use now.
This is crazy,
but
man.
It is crazy.
Oh my gosh. It's almost like circles. And if your circle doesn't overlap that circle, you can't be part of that.
Exactly. Yeah,
Oh my
so we're
God.
answering these types of questions all the time. And these questions don't get answered until they fix it federally.
But see, my thing is, who is the one that said marijuana users don't give them a gun? Because it's again, to me, it's that
Right.
old thinking again. It's that old thinking again. We cannot get guns into these dangerous hoodlums who are going to be hopped up on marijuana. So here's what we do. Well, I mean, I guess that form was already in place, right?
Yeah, that
So
form was
you're right.
already
It
in
needs to
place.
change.
And it's not the marijuana that's the danger. It's the fact that the guy has a 50-pound bag of weed and a gun, right? Because marijuana is illegal, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
If they could just transact legally, they wouldn't have to carry the gun with them.
Yeah.
And then it wouldn't be as dangerous of a substance, right? That's where we got to change the rules.
Yeah.
That's the bigger picture. And it's so much more complicated than it is on the surface, because on the surface, you're like, this just doesn't make any sense at all. And you're absolutely right. It doesn't make any sense. So let's talk about this too.
Okay.
Small industry. So there are 37 states with some type of program.
Right.
In every one of those states, they grow their own, they process their own, they package their own, and they sell their own. So if you legalize it federally, or you legalize interstate commerce, how do you protect the small guy? How do you protect the small grower from the big Curaleaf coming in here just crushing everybody?
Yeah.
Now you have two problems. One, you have the illegality problem where you need to fix that. But two, now you have an entire industry in all these 37 states that, granted, it creates a lot of jobs, but how do you protect the small guy, protect minority interest? Because we've essentially we put a whole generation of, that's a whole subject that it really should be part of the discussion.
Yeah.
See, this is where we go, right? We start down this road of talking about it, and then we got to work all these little things out. There'll be winners and losers, though. There always are.
I will give it to the state of Utah because, being the most conservative state in the union, people I never thought in a million years that one, Utah would have a medical marijuana program. And two, I thought the second coming was happening when I saw that the Mormon church was allowing medical marijuana. I thought, oh, it's about to happen, guys. Where's the bright lights? And here we go, damn it.
Look to the east.
Yeah, where's the earthquake? You know what I'm saying? I really thought because then I just had the thought, man, the brethren of the church understand there's a big suffering in the people. And the more legal, safe things we can get to our people, the better off they are, because we thought Prozac, we thought oxycodone was good because the doctor prescribed it, when in turn it was killing people.
I second that 100%. I think you're absolutely right. And growing up here, living here, seeing what's happened with the culture.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Utah. I like their program.
Yeah. It's so funny because we have not, and I say we, when I say we, I mean the weed culture. I have not seen any ads about, happy hour, but we have beer commercials, we have beer billboards, we have cigarettes, stuff that actually kills you. And again, studies are still out. I'm just saying, it's so crazy that people will tell you, we can't do this because it's harmful to our youth. I see Camel Joe. He's smiling.
We deal with this with billboards and advertising, and you can get away with so much of the alcohol and narcotics and it seems, it's ridiculous. So how do your kids, I mean, you got 18 to 28 right now. So have they been pretty supportive of the cannabis?
Oh man, I'll tell you the story. So I'm smoking and my wife says, you're going to have to tell the kids. I'm like, why have to tell the kids for? It's none of their business. I don't tell them when I go buy condoms. And I said, why? I said, no, why would I tell them that? I'm a grown ass man. And she said, no, you have to tell them because they smell it. And then all right, fine. So we had a meeting. I gathered all my kids and their spouses. And I said, all right, mom wanted me to get you guys together. I said, this is a medical marijuana card. It's legal. It doesn't expire until such and such. I've paid for it. I've applied for it. I am a card-carrying cannabis user. within the parameters. I said all of this within the parameters of the state legally and within the parameters of our religion. Any questions? No? Thank you. All right. Oh, my kids are
I
like,
want to meet your wife.
Dad, yeah, we already knew you were smoking. We could smell it.
Yeah. It's in the closet up on the second shelf.
Yeah. Well, your mom wanted me to tell you officially, so
there you go.
You know, but the responses were, we're proud of you taking your mental health. We're proud of you taking your pain seriously, because I complained about this. So I played volleyball in college. This shoulder is out of whack. Like I don't know if you can hear it. It cracks all the time. Yeah, see,
I can almost see it.
I don't know if you can hear it, but it cracks all the time. And I'm in pain. I'm in pain all the time. Like there's nerve damage. I can't afford surgery, but cannabis, I can do this. See, I can do this now, Mom. 1 arm. Oh, look at that. But before, I can't really. So in order for me to do that, it takes the pain away.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And
thank you, cannabis.
Yeah. And your foundation, how old is it now? Just getting.
It'll be a year.
It'll be a year?
It's under a year. It's not even a year old. We've been working on it for a year to get to it, but it just became legal. We just got a tax ID 2 weeks ago.
Do you have somewhere where people can go donate?
Yeah. So we're hosting our first ever golf tournament, June 13th at Tippinokas Golf Club. You know, it's to raise awareness and funds for the foundation to get this life-saving technology in the hands of everybody. The website is Beautiful Mind, and it's spelled the way I spelled my moniker, BUDAHFULMIND.live. So www.beautifulmind.live, and all the information's on there, including how to sponsor a hole if you want to, or play in a foursome. It's going to be fun. We're have some sponsors already jumping in. I saw Domo is going to be there. Tilo Real Estate. Just some bunch of others people coming. Reno Majes is going to come and play with us. So I'm just tapping into some of the friends and family network, try to get this thing off the ground.
That's cool. Is there somewhere where people can follow you, stay up to date on what you've got going on?
Yeah, all my social media channels. I'm still on Instagram as a big_Budah. It's the same handle for Facebook. Facebook, it's my first name, Leroy Budah Teo. I had to change that. That's a story for another time. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, so I'm actually in the process of changing my middle name to
Budah.
Yes.
To Big Budah.
Yeah.
Which has to do with this story, I'm guessing.
Just to protect myself.
Just to protect yourself. Okay, got it. That's like I interviewed Steve Urquhart, the Divine Assembly Church, to protect the mushroom use.
Yeah.
That's a fun thing. It's funny how America, we've set up these rules. You gotta live by the rules. You gotta play by these rules. You gotta stay in the bounds.
It is so crazy. And everybody has a different set of rules. It really is the truth. There are rules. Everybody has their own set of rules. If you are a billionaire, your rules don't apply to me. My rules don't apply to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a different game.
It is.
But a game equalizer. Have you ever been on a cruise?
No.
My wife and I went on our first cruise to the Bahamas. You can't tell who's rich or who's poor because the staff treats everybody the same. Like, poor dude, put my cup down, it's empty. Next guy comes right over. Wife, anything else I can get you? I'm like, come on, man. Who is this? Somebody filming us? Come on, man. It can't be that. Come on.
Cool.
It is not really like that. It really is like that. So I feel like $1 million.
Nice. I gotta go
on a cruise, bro.
Yeah, I gotta. I'll go just for that.
They wait on you.
Anything else I'm missing? Anything else you want to talk about?
I really am grateful for this platform that you guys got going on, because information really is power. It really is key to understanding what we're doing. I mean, just like aspirin. when you have a headache and you reach for Tylenol or aspirin, you don't ask what's in it. You know it works, right? You know that's all I'm asking people. Give cannabis a chance. We know what's in it now. We know that it works and help. And it doesn't work for everybody. This is what I would say. It doesn't work for everybody. There are some people that don't. The effects of cannabis doesn't work on them. It's rare. And if that doesn't, let's move on to something else that will help you. But this helps me.
Yeah.
This helps me. Please let me use it. I promise I won't infringe on your right to keep using Tylenol, to keep using aspirin and ibuprofen, but also allow me to use cannabis, please, because I don't want to use those.
Yeah.
I'd rather take my medicine this way. That's I think for me, that's what the issue is. I know there's a lot of other stuff, but I try to make it as easy for me to understand. And for me, that's the issue.
Well said. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate you, all you're doing. And really, this whole, the Buddhaful Mind Foundation, I think is a great idea. I think it's definitely necessary, especially right now. Right.
Oh, gotta give a shout out. I apologize. I forgot in case Alex watches this. Alex Boyer has a anti-suicide concert this Friday. I'm going to be hosting it and emceeing for him. Bend Not Broken tour at Maverick Center. There are a few tickets left. It's almost sold out. But I just wanted to plug it again. He's such an amazing talent, and he's helping me raise awareness and fight this battle against suicide and mental illness.
Absolutely. Well, this has been, it's fun. It's fun to talk to people. It's fun to talk to people like you.
If there's anything I can do, I mean, Dave's a sweetheart, man. I'd do anything for him. He's really been in the back scenes helping with my career when I was at Fox. And I mean, it's always the guys behind the scenes that never get the love, but they are the ones that are the engine behind what we do. So I got nothing but mad love and respect. Yeah,
David Wells, I am so glad. He said that, every time he wakes up and goes to work, he's like, I pinch myself because really this is what I do. I produce content about cannabis. He got this podcast he produces. He does an amazing job for us. So thanks for that shout out.
We're lucky he's on our side, bro.
Yeah. Utah in the Weeds. If you're not subscribed, subscribe and
this click like that. Beep, beep,
yeah, boom.
Beep.
Boom, slam the subscribe button. And utahmarijuana.org, or if you want to go to YouTube and find us, we're on Discover Marijuana on YouTube. That's the channel. Big Budah, thanks again.
Don't need a temple recommend to be elevated.
Stay safe out there.